So, I haven't seen this for a day, and I came in this morning and I forgot how good it looks. Yeah, just like a fresh pair of eyes really changes perspective. Because when I finished it, it was at the end of the day, I was done after the whole day and I was just tired. I got home and then coming back, yeah, it's better than I remembered. So now all the doors are done. Look how nice is this light. Oh. Obviously, once the retail space is done, I'll do a bit more of a proper photography and video of just featuring a lot of these little details and things like that. So this is not entirely finished. Right now, I need to make a decision basically. So these are, soft opening hinges, so you can see all the stuff that's hidden in the back. So they're closed by itself. It's all pretty standard European kind of like concealed hinge. But because there's no handle right now, you have to kind of open it from the bottom, which obviously is not very usable. But I like the way it looks. I like how clean it is, and it's just panels, and you can almost not tell like which side the door is. So option one would be put a push to open, like a little, so basically it's a little cylinder that you can drill into the board at the back, and there'll be a little magnet that connects to the door. So when you push it, it clicks out and then it opens slightly, and then you can just, open it normally. It'll just push out and then you can just open it. So that's one option. But if I do it that way, when you close the door, the pin will still be sticking out, so it won't close flush. And that kind of defeats the soft closing feature, which I do like. So instead, when you close it, you have to push it, and then you have to actually push the pin down, and it clicks and it stays back in place. Second option is to add some sort of handle. I definitely don't want anything sticking out. So instead of a traditional handle hardware, you can either cut out a groove, potentially here, and then same on the other side. And that could work, because then you can as long as you can reach your finger in on the top, it'll be fine. But that will also change the line here. I think it's still a better option than the push to open, but with the handle, I can also route a groove. So instead of opening the top, I just have a groove at the face. That's just enough for you to reach your finger in to be able to pull out. There's a few designs that I do quite like, and I think that is what I'm drawn to the most, but it's figuring out how to do it properly. So like the routed bits I have are not steep enough, because you basically want, imagine if this is like the top of the board, you kind of want this shape, because at an angle, then you can like reach into it. So it can't be an open V, it needs to be like a close opposite side, basically like a dovetail kind of joinery shape. But I need to find a routed bit that's big enough, which will accommodate, I guess, a centimeter, maybe 1.5 centimeter. I think that's more than enough. And also steep enough. So the one I've got, it only goes out a tiny bit, so it's probably around like 13 degrees. Ideally, you want something like 30 or maybe even 45 degrees. I need to do some research to see if something like this exists. It doesn't have to be wide, because I can route it once and then move up and route again. So I can widen up the gap, but it's more just the steepness of the angle. What I can also do is build a jig where I can route it at an angle, so I can do a 45, like a mitre route, and that could potentially work. But I've never done that before. I mean, it's going to require a bit of testing, and also like, do I want to ruin this complete like clean front? So maybe push to open's the way to go. I mean, these cabinets won't get used that often, so I don't think, it's not like a kitchen where we're constantly opening and closing these. A lot of the time, these are just going to be storage for packaging materials or excess stock. For example, if we've got like 20 of the same thing, we might display 4 or 5 and put the rest in the bottom. So maybe aesthetically speaking, maybe it's better to do push to open, but I'm kind of rambling now. It's just like, again, one of the many like design thing, and it's, as someone who's figuring out, or we're kind of just winging it, a lot of the time I don't make the decision until I get to the point where I have to do it. So at this stage, I don't have to do it yet because we're not using this yet. And I've got another shelving to finish, which is going to fit right into this space, and I've got the other side to do. So once everything is done, then these last finishing touches, I'll make up my mind. I'm just kind of procrastinating as much as possible. So today's Sunday actually, so I just want to come in and do a bit of work, organize a bit of the timber so I know what goes where. Maeve has done a really good job cleaning out the back area, which was a total mess. Like you can't walk through it without stepping over timbers and stuff like that. So now it's all clear, so it's a lot more usable. Yeah, once I figure out how to do the bookshelf, because it's going to be different. Because this was quite easy in the way that all I did was make a carcass out of the cheaper plywood on the inside. So a lot of the screws and a lot of the joinery didn't have to be hidden because it's either underneath or it's on the side where the show panel hides it. So that works great. Also, I'm kind of tempted to do some grooves on that side of the panel just to let some light through. It could be nice. But to be honest, that's something that I should have done before I installed it if I was going to do it. Just like little slits so that you get like a bit of shadow coming across on the back panel, which would be really nice to see. But it's not entirely impossible. It's just, if I haven't done it before I installed it, I probably won't end up doing it, just because it's a lot more extra work trying to do it vertically, because I can't flip this anymore. Now that it's all done, it's too heavy, and it's also, you end up scratching the surfaces. So, but like, yeah, just a couple of slivers here could be nice. Oh, I've got dust on my butt. So that's a lot of the cabinetry side of things. Everything is moving in slower steps now because these things take a little bit more time. They're a little bit more deliberate. I can't smash them out as quickly as like a throwing table because they just need to work. They don't have to look good. So in that sense, there's not much progress to show. But once that bookshelf is up, I'll definitely do a little update. But I just came in and I just saw this in the morning light, and I just really wanted to like show it off a little bit because it is very pretty, and I can't wait to, like, see. I've been using the same work just to like as a placeholder just to see what it feels like, and yeah, it looks good. Yeah. So you might remember when I pointed out the switchboard that's in the retail space. It's now covered up. So I was meant to do, the plan was to do the bookshelf for the other side, but turns out one piece of plywood is missing because they were cut to size. The person who did the cutting accidentally did the same cut twice. So now I've got 2 extra pieces that I don't need. I'm missing my nice tall pieces for the side of the bookshelf. So I couldn't do that. That's why I've gone and started this. This actually took 2 days. Because it's so big and clunky, and I also made quite a few mistakes. I don't know if you can see from back here, but basically what happened was these shelves, there's a groove here, so the shelf sits inside the side wall. So instead of drilling it from the outside, this way I don't have to use any screws and there's no exposed kind of fixture, which is great. But for some reason, originally I was going to do the same thing at the back, so it's got a horizontal support all the way through, but then I changed my mind and decided to do just screws from the back instead, because you're never going to see the back of this, and I thought that would just be easier than trying to do a straight route all the way through. This is like 1.3 meters, and trying to build a jig and stuff was just going to be too hard to do it accurately. And then I completely forgot about that. So in my computer, my design is just you screw it at the back, it sits flush, and that's it. But in my mind, I was thinking, okay, I need to do the groove. So I did all the measurement, and I actually did one whole groove on this one. And then I did half here until I noticed that these boards will actually sit a little bit too far back comparing to the sidewall here if there was a groove, because it would have set like 4 mils to the back, and this wouldn't be flush at the front, and that was going to look terrible. So what I did was I just cut out little slivers of timber, packed it into the groove, and then drilled it from the back. But there is a bit of noticeable
line, and it's really annoying, but at least I'm glad that it happened to that and not anything else, because this is probably the least precious of all the furniture that I'm building in, especially because this one's going to live in here. Like when we move out, this is staying. There's no point taking this with us, where the rest of the shop we're taking with us, because we can reuse a lot of that cabinetry very easily. I can just put that up against the wall and it'll be fine. But this was custom built for this space. Actually, I haven't shown you yet. So basically, we have the same kind of like flush inset door, but because with these ones, you could never get your finger into it. So I've done the push-pull mechanism. So that's, because this is not going to be used that often, I don't really care how usable it is. So this is what the inside looks like. And this is what the door used to look like that would sit up here. So this was really ugly. It stood out. And the idea was always to hide it. But we incorporated this just to add a bit more shelving space and just to make this, I guess, less obvious, because now it just looks like storage. When it's closed, you don't actually think about it that much, which is great. And it matches the rest of the shop. So the top, it's going to be a column that goes all the way up. So all this kind of wire and timber, all this electrical wire is going to get hidden. Part of me wonder if it's worth doing it, because it actually looks quite good as it is. Because if I was going to do that, there's going to be kind of a piece of timber. This is going to sit like right on top and hide all that. And also with the two walls on the side, I wonder if it just draws more attention to it. Because I'm just thinking out loud now, what I could do is just replace this piece of timber. I'll get another piece, paint it all white, and then just have it all the way through, and obviously tidy up all this cable so you can't see any of it. And maybe that's a better choice than doing another whole thing of plywood, because that might actually look weird, because then it's like, why is there a column here? Where if this was just white, you don't really look at it because it's quite high anyway. So that'll be easier. Because I'm not using a lot of these cables, so they can be capped off and then just hide into the cavity there. So that's not a bad idea. That might save me some time actually. Yeah, that's a great idea. I might do that. Yeah, because then this way you look at this, because of the shape, it's quite big. So you just look at this, you don't look at that as much. One, obviously without all this exposed wire, but once that's all white and you don't see all the texture there, maybe that's a smarter way to do it. I can just put plants on there just to even like block up a lot of that as well. Anyway, so that's the, I guess, I don't know what to call this, shelving, built-in shelves, built-in hidden power switch shelves. I don't know. But anyway, so this side is done. I just need to obviously deal with all this stuff, which won't be too much. And now that I think about it, yeah, if I just put the panel up to the very top here and just make this all white, even though you can see this thing that goes up, I think it's fine. Like, you are going to be able to tell that there's a switchboard behind this, but who cares? Like, there's if people come in the shop and this is the first thing they see, like up there, then I think there's something wrong with the shop. Like, we're not displaying our stuff in a way that, people should be looking at the work and all the, the pottery space and all that stuff. Like, that should be the last thing people notice. But yeah, we'll just put a giant monstera up there and they'll hide most of that. Yeah, all right, good plan, good plan. So next step is to finish off the bookshelf on the other side, but I can't do that until the plywood gets here. So I do have my lighting. So I've got 3 pendants and the track light for this space arrived. I'm still waiting on some cables. So I bought some really nice fabric cable that's white, so I can have them exposed and still look good. So I need to wire those up with a smart switch. That way the whole studio can be controlled on an iPad. And I can always just have like a setting where when no one's here, it's just a soft, warm glow. And that's gonna look good for the display. And during nighttime and evening, people walking past could look into the space and just check it out. And I think that's good. Also, it makes it easier for people to, I guess, go in and out of the studio. So you come in, just go to the iPad, press a button and everything gets set to the right, I guess, level. Yeah, so that's this whole plywood situation. Actually, I was expecting to spend a bit longer on them. It's only Tuesday. I was going to spend the rest of the week on it. It turns out I don't think I'll need that many days. They still need to be finished, so that's going to be time consuming, but it's not super urgent. So we can do that on a weekend, especially when Maeve is around. It will be a lot quicker doing it as two-person, so I can just deal with the more tricky stuff. Yeah, we are getting very close. So there's a few days left until application closes, and we've got a really good amount of applicants at this stage. I think we can fit everyone in, which is great. I think we are maybe 4 to 5 applicants away from full capacity, which it's a great start. Like part of me wanted full capacity right from the get-go, but I think this way we can have a bit more, I guess, time to work out the logistics, and just there's going to be so much going on that maybe it's easier if it's not so busy all the time. Yeah. I'm feeling much better now. Now that this is done, I didn't know how long this was going to take, so the rest of the thing shouldn't be too bad. I feel like I've been very productive recently, and because once the demolition was done, it was all just building things, and it was much easier to see the progress, where when I was doing demolition, yeah, you can start to see things taken down, but it was much slower, and it also just didn't feel as nice, like it was just getting rid of junk. Where now we're building things that I actually really enjoy looking at, and I think it's going to really help the space and make it a little bit more special for people to come in and just check the work, buy a few things, and just hang out. That's all I want. Like, yeah, not being greedy. I just want people to be here and be happy. Like, this should be a place where either as a customer or as a potter or as a maker, you should just be able to look forward to coming in and do whatever you want. You know, you can be making work, you can be testing stuff, you could be, you know, just browsing, just buying a gift, you know, buying things for yourself. But I guess the key is like, yeah, there should be a place that kind of bringing all that joy together. I know it's a bit cheesy, but yeah.